welcome to season 3 of the Jeremy Mullins podcast. We're here today with a Team Alpha episode with my partner in crime inside of the first format, Mr. Montae Kaufman.
Season 3.
First time you joined me on season 3, right?
This is the first time.
I love it. Yeah, we had to take a little bit of a hiatus because my man Reno has been off to a military school for about 6 months. So I didn't want to give him extra work to edit the podcast and have to worry about putting them up. So we're just now getting back in the swing of things.
I love it. I miss Reno. He's
Yeah,
back now, right?
He's not back yet. He's still end of January. He'll finish up, and it's really for those that are in the military, you understand there's different MOSs, and he had to completely change MOSs. So just because you've been in Reno, I think it's been in 12, 14 years. He's training to get it quote unquote certified in something else or trained in something else. So 6 months of school, and he'll have a new MOS, and he'll be back into the quote unquote regular routine, hopefully in February.
Coming right out of work with some work to do. Let's load him up.
So I didn't want to. I just felt bad staying foot on the pedal and doing a bunch of podcasts and making him edit them and do all that while he was there. So we just took a little bit of break, which is nice. And here we are in season 3 as we continue navigating some things. And for you and I, it's a great season of life. We're here at the beginning of the year. We got a lot of people that are coming back online in the first format that I haven't talked to in a while. I've got some people that's been on there since like 2019. They had success. They're coming back just to fine tune some things. So I'm looking forward to kind of maybe redoing some of our education that we've done in season 1 and season 2. Just kind of go over that material, because I know a lot of times people don't go back and maybe listen to some of those beginning episodes where the basics are. So
people like the new stuff.
They like the new stuff.
The quote unquote new stuff, right?
Yeah. Speaking of new stuff, and we don't have time to go down this rabbit hole today, but how about them Cowboys? No, I'm sorry. I got excited there. How about that new Food God pyramid?
It's not, new, right? New to us, not so much, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Listen, and I got it. There's, online right now, everybody's posting about it. Everybody trying to turn it into political views. Stop. And we'll get into it. But I think it's awesome. I grew up, quote, in school on the Food God pyramid, and it's where I really got my first nickname or business model of being a dietitian. I called myself like the black sheep dietitian because I was kind of pushed out in the early 2000s from a lot of dietitians because I was promoting, healthy fats, peanut butter, for example, of course, and, more protein in the diet and not as much like carbohydrate. It wasn't that I was anti-carb, right? Still fruits and veggies, but, just having that different look than what was pushed in the, early 2000s, late 1990s, like kind of got me ostracized from the, I don't say medical community, but the dietitian community, so for me, it's like kind of, hey, 20 years later, well, how about this? So Food God pyramid flipped on its head. And then for us, what we teach, P squared, baby, P squared, primary protein source. Yeah, primary protein source, protein at your meals and your snack. Let that be the base of your diet. And then add in healthy fats, add in whole grains based on what your goals are and how many calories you can have.
Protein and protein. Simple. We're going P cubed soon.
P cubed.
Yeah. Post-workout protein.
Post-workout protein, right? Yeah, here it is. Before we get into today's topic, and today we're going to go over, because we're utilizing this for 2 reasons. One, any of the listeners that come to this, I know there's a lot of confusion out there on supplementation. So we're going to talk about the 3 supplements that Montae and I recommend to all of our clients within our team, and then kind of hit on some others that are close, quote, second, right? So we have 3 that we feel ethically and comfortable recommending to everybody to get started, and then a few others that are right behind that. But hey, if you're trying to fix a meal plan, here is a simple meal plan approach that will work for you, okay? 5 to 8 ounces of a primary protein source 3 to 4 times a day, okay? Now, once again, I understand people are different body sizes. I'm 5'8", my man Montae 6'6", different body sizes, right? So, what's that, 6'7"?
6'8".
6'7".
Stop it.
Dad jokes. But
in the podcast, start over.
No. We're keeping that. We're keeping it. So like 5 to 8 ounces is just a broad term, right? Yes, doesn't need to be, but a lot of people are like, they think there's this perfect diet plan out there. But here's a great place to start. Once again, eat 3 to 4 times a day, 5 to 8 ounces of a primary protein source, either meat, fish, eggs. Some dairy can fall into this, like cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, and protein shakes. Have one of those 3 to 4 times a day with some fruits and veggies. If you do that and you add in maybe 1 to 2 servings, that once again, depending on your activity level and depending on your goals of healthy fats and healthy whole grains, that is what you should be doing. That will produce great results. Does it need to be fine tuned with amount? 100%. Does it need to be fine tuned with your likes and dislikes? 100%. But that's it. And it's crazy to me that people go pay $300-400 for these meal plans that are laid out for them when that's what we should be doing.
I mean, yeah, I paid that much for a meal plan before and had much more success doing it this way.
All right, I'm gonna take one more drink of my Form Energy, and then I'll maybe back off the soapbox a little bit.
Oh, have you tried the new flavors yet? Have you got them in?
No, I haven't ordered any, and I'm not out there like
I
you right
tried
now,
them.
so
I tried them
I have
both.
not.
They're
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sure they're good. It's like we've fine tuned it so well now. If you're an energy drink drinker, it's like, hey, get the flavor that you think that you're going to enjoy, right? I always say this. So if you don't like cherry, don't get the cherry. Like it's pretty simple. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the lightning because that's the old lemonade flavor fine tuned, right?
like the citrusy, yeah.
Yeah. So super, super, super stoked to give it a shot. But hey, let's dive into what 3 supplements that we think everyone should be taking to not only produce results if we're speaking fat loss, because that is, primary clientele that you and I get, right? I'm not saying that we're not working with endurance athletes, not working with people that want to do bodybuilding shows, but if we looked at the majority of the individuals you and I work with, it's to drop some body fat, and our people want to live a longer, healthier life. And you and I took that in consideration of what 3 supplements we think everyone should be on, and then what are the next two, 3 that are a close second. Okay, so first off, just I'll name them, then we'll cover them. Magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, and now creatine. Those are the ones that we think everybody should be taking. And then we got a close second that we'll discuss, and after that, it really depends on the individual and what needs to be supplemented inside their diet. Okay. So, first, magnesium, 400 milligrams of magnesium at night. I will put our first form supplement up against almost every single one out there because we have a mixture of magnesium powders that go into our product. And that is like the best of both worlds, is the way I like to explain it, right? Because each magnesium powder itself kind of has like a highlight or a benefit. So when you use a mixture inside of a product, you're kind of getting all those benefits that come out of it, right? Versus some of them might only give you more of that mind relaxation, but you might not relax the muscles as much, just as an example, okay? I will say, all joking aside, or it is a joke, do not just get magnesium citrate. That's the one you don't want to just get.
But I
Because
thought
what
the
do we
good
use
was
that for?
false.
I mean, it would work for weight loss. Fluid. So magnesium citrate, for those in the medical world, you're smiling and laughing right now on the other end of the line. It is used to clear you out, usually for like a GI procedure. Okay. So magnesium is an essential mineral that's used for over 300 biochemical processes in the body. Pretty cool, right? So it's that big and important of a mineral inside of the body. And what we see, and we pull the data up, and you can do a search on this, right? There's plenty of research articles, data will come up, that roughly 50 to 60% of the US population is low in magnesium for various reasons. We're not going to dive into that, okay? But I want to start first with like brain and mood, okay? Taking magnesium is going to help decrease anxiety, can bring a sense of like calmness on. I hate to use the term decrease depression, but it can help with that, right? So because if I'm saying decrease depression, Monte, then I feel like I'm stepping into medical there, right? But that is shown for that. And then also it improves the quality of sleep by supporting melatonin release and also calming the nervous system and relaxing the muscles. So that's one of the big things that I like and I've always used magnesium for, is optimizing sleep. And that's the reason we do want to take it at night. Okay. Some other big things that come out of it: heart and circulation. So it helps maintain a normal heart rhythm, can help support healthy blood pressure. Okay. So I'm not going to go and say, well, it lowers blood pressure, but it can help support a healthy blood pressure, which means lowering it if it is someone doesn't have a touch high. All right. Muscles. Magnesium supplementation can also help in our physical aspects and ventures by decreasing the risk of muscle cramps, right? So, muscle cramps, spasms, twitching, all of those could be signs of low magnesium levels. Because, once again, one of the main roles of magnesium within the muscle and the nerves is to help it relax. Okay. So, I argue that a lot of cramping isn't a potassium issue in our endurance sports, it's more of a magnesium issue. So, we can also help with that. A couple other things, bone and joints. It works with calcium and vitamin D hand in hand to increase our bone density and our bone strength, and then also energy and metabolism. So it's going to help energy production, and we're talking about on the cellular level here with our ATP, and then also blood sugar regulation. So those are some big things, especially in the fat loss world, because a lot of times when we're working with people who have been overweight for years, 20, 40, 60 pounds overweight, haven't been resistance training, have been eating the normal, quote, American diet of high carbohydrate, we're dealing with a little bit of insulin resistance there. So magnesium can help with that. And then last but not least, it can reduce the severity of headaches. So migraines and headaches in general. So magnesium, optimal levels of magnesium can help with that. So that is why we love magnesium. And we encourage everyone to have it in their diet. And the cool thing is when a client sends over like their sleep, if they're tracking their sleep via their Garmin, their I was going to say iPad, their iWatch, or a Whoop, it's almost an automatic increase in that deep sleep and the REM sleep when they start taking magnesium from not. So 400 milligrams at night.
Every single night.
Every single night. And the cool thing is I mix mine with
Creatine. You're still doing
you're
that?
going
I know it's almost been a year since we started, really being very consistent with doing that at night, every night. At least that's when I started it. I think you might have been doing it before.
Yeah, it's probably been 2 years now consistently. I take 10 grams of creatine at night with my magnesium. And a lot of people ask why. Just because I remember it, right? And personally, I found magnesium helps so well for myself and for other people. Like I won't miss it. So I just started adding my creatine to my magnesium, just stack that habit in, and it's easy for me to remember.
Gotcha. Now, as far as the benefits of creatine, there's many different benefits and a lot more research coming out, with different things outside of what we would typically use it for. But one of the biggest things, it improves your strength and performance. So I love taking it. I noticed when I increased it, my strength and performance did go up, especially when in a calorie deficit. And one of the coolest things I personally noticed is, like I have been through many different fat loss journeys, right, where I gained and regained. In the beginning, when I first started, I didn't take creatine as much, and I noticed when I started taking it and had that fat loss, I maintained way more muscle tissue throughout my journey of losing body fat, which is really cool because usually you're losing body fat. I mean, your strength's going to go down a little bit. I noticed there was times I was actually getting stronger, even though the weight was going down, which is really cool. Which brings us to the next point. It just helps preserving muscle during the fat loss phase. Um, and I've actually talked to one of my ladies the other day who was an older lady, more experienced lady, and she was wanting weight loss, and she was like, I brought up creatine to her because she wasn't taking it, and she was like, "Well, how does that help me with the weight loss?" And I kind of got talking to her and was just like, not so much focus on the weight loss side of things, but as we age, the more we can maintain muscle tissue, the better quality of life we're going to have when we get older. So it's not really a weight loss supplement, but it's going to help maintaining that muscle so we can, maintain these results and age better. Um, so yeah, it's like huge when it comes to that. I know it can help with mental fatigue, which we've talked about many times, and I know it's something we've done with people. If you're not getting, you just talked about magnesium and sleep. If you are getting less sleep, it's good to have creatine that night before when you first wake up the next morning because it can help with that mental fatigue, and then also just supports recovery. And something I recommend, smaller individuals starting off 5 grams a day. Our larger individuals, we typically start with 10 grams. Are you still doing that?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, and we've worked up higher. I know I've got to the point where I was taking 20 grams a day. I'm kind of around 15 right now with it being in my pre-workout. But just starting points, 5 grams for smaller individuals, 10 grams for larger. And if you've been doing those numbers for a while now, months, we can always, and something we've been pushing is like go up 5 more grams, see how you feel there, see if there's more benefit that you're noticing there. Um, So yeah, some of the biggest things with creatine, like that I get common questions like, will it make me gain weight?
Well, and let's stop right there. Just make the difference. Like you said this earlier, I want to make a point of it. It helps with fat loss because we maintain our muscle tissue, right? So it's
Right.
not about weight loss. Remember that. It's not about just the number on the scale. It's about dropping body fat. And that study you were referring to earlier, there's good studies out right now, in menopause, postmenopause, menopause, that creatine helps, preserve and maintain muscle tissue, right? But I would argue, like, just because that study was done in postmenopause ladies, I would make that statement for everybody, right? Creatine helps maintain, preserve muscle tissue in a reduced caloric state, right? Or helps gain in a or a increased caloric state. So that's a
Right.
benefit of it. And then the other one you mentioned on the sleep deprivation. Also, some good studies out there that if you take additional creatine or creatine in general, when you're in a sleep deprived state, the symptoms are not as bad because of the creatine. So that's a great and wonderful thing, from that standpoint. So just touching on those two, like you said, kind of distinguishing what we're talking about, right? Because yes, when you start taking creatine, what's going to happen?
The scale's going to go up a little bit.
Yes, and why? Explain that, not in too much detail, but explain what's going on
No,
inside
I
your
try to
body.
keep things as simple as possible. Pretty much you're pulling more water into the muscle. You're gonna hydrate the muscle, which is good because that's gonna help with it can help with injury prevention. That is going to help with the performance. It's going to like a working healthy muscle that is hydrated is going to be a better performing muscle. So there's going to be more, benefit, better training, better recovery, et cetera.
Yeah,
And it's not going to, I promise creatine doesn't make you fat. And people ask me all the time, it's like, well, you gain weight. And I'm like, well,
yeah,
I lost 150 pounds and I took creatine every single day. Creatine doesn't make you gain like
yeah.
body fat. In
And
the,
no different in our Facebook page right now. We had a couple of people post like, "Are we supposed to be going up in weight week one?"
when you first start,
And
yeah.
yeah, and we're like, "Hey, are you sore?" And they're like, "Yeah, workout's really hard, and I hadn't done anything in 3 weeks." Yep, that's inflammation. You're going to be up some weight on the scale, right? So, yeah, you're going to gain a little bit, and that's okay, right? Just be ready for it, expect it. And like you were saying, Monte, it's inside the muscle cell because we're storing creatine inside the muscle, but it's not a bloating, it's not a, quote unquote edema, like I've seen some people, online say.
So, yeah, and that was just a common question about the scale going up. Fun fact that I, was looking at talking about creatine because creatine's in the body, and you can get creatine through whole foods like some fish and red meats and stuff like that. But this was cool. So to get 5 grams of creatine, you would need about 10 to 12 pounds of raw meat, which would be about 6 to 9 pounds of cooked meat, depending on water loss, to get 5 grams. So can you get it through food? Absolutely.
You could.
But 6 to 9 pounds a day of red meat, first of all, that's expensive. Creatine, I know at first form creatine, if you get the 100 container thing, it's like 34 cents per serving.
Yeah. And
So
and even these three we're recommending, I can't remember what it was. It was like a dollar
dollar
37
six or something, or yeah, like $1.30.
$1.30 a day to do the three supplements that we're talking about today from First Form, right? Which is very, very inexpensive compared to what I see out there, right? So, and that's why we took, you and I had this conversation when we were looking at, okay, what one should we recommend out of the gate? Like we had that new person was like, all right, what should I get? I'm getting it today. What three should we get? And these are the ones that we settled on, because once again, as we'll touch on in a minute, like I love M Factor for people too, a multivitamin. But some people eat really well and eat a variety of food. So that money we could spend somewhere else, right? So that's the reason we went with these. We feel like it's the best bang for the buck for what they do, right? And also with the creatine, this is not something I started recommending till like the last year or year and a half because before I knew it worked really well as a sports supplement. But once again, the majority of my clientele and the majority of our clientele as we started working together was more weight loss and wellness, not what we would consider sport. But then all the research has been coming out, as far as, once again, just helping maintain muscle tissue and mental health or brain health along with creatine. We're like, why not? Like it should be. And then in the military setting and also the medical setting, there's a lot of good data coming out like TBIs and concussions of supplementing with higher dose creatine to help recover faster and to prevent any damage from those head injuries. So some cool stuff there, and especially like in the collegiate setting. we can get back the athlete back on the field faster by supplementing with creatine. So 5 to 10 grams a day, as you mentioned, be on that for a good, probably a couple of months, and then definitely try, a little bit higher if you want to. So if you're on 5 grams a day, you can slide up to 10. If you're on 10, you can slide up to 15, maybe even 20 and see how it does. I'm a 10-gram consistent. And then what I do is I add an extra 10 grams in if I get less than 5 hours of sleep. Like, so if I'm, just in a period of time, maybe military travel or, kids getting up, whatever the case is, anytime that I miss sleep, if I'm not getting a good 6 hours plus, then I will supplement with 10 extra.
Awesome.
Sweet. Anything you want to add in that before I move on to the OG omega-3 fatty acids?
Nope. Good to go.
All right. Omega-3s is the next one. I mean, this has been 20 years of recommending omega-3s. Omega-3 fatty acids are essential fats in the body, so we have to consume them. Just want to make sure, everybody understands that they are essential. Our body needs them. And I think the ultimate why I started recommending omega-3s is when I first got into private practice, I was doing a lot of CrossFit training and I was working with a lot of weight loss clients, right? So maybe not both. I mean, there were weight loss clients that weren't doing CrossFit, but it was a supplement that worked for both because omega-3 fatty acids were great at decreasing inflammation. So for those that do cross training or CrossFit or any of your high functional stuff, when you first get into that, you're going to be pretty sore. So it was something that people noticed right out of the gate was, hey, if I took omega-3s, that decreased this inflammation. They knew it was working. But for heart health, we have to remember omega-3s is going to, one, lower the inflammation that we talked about, lower triglycerides. Triglycerides are the backbone to bad cholesterol. So you're going to help lower your bad cholesterol, your LDLs. You're going to lower your triglycerides. You're going to decrease inflammation. All of those things are great for long-term heart health, or we could put it into terms of decreasing cardiovascular risk when it comes to that. Okay. Brain and mental health. Once again, omega-3s have been shown, higher omega-3 consumption, decrease anxiety, decrease some depression symptoms. Look at how many people are struggling with those two things right now. And two of our products, magnesium and omega-3s, both help with decreasing symptoms of anxiety and depression. A couple of things you look at also with children, eye development. Okay. Dry eyes could be a medical symptom that omega-3s are, prescribed for, as an example. And then probably the biggest one that a lot of people think about, as we do work with a lot more experienced people than the average first form coach, joints and inflammation. So any joint pain, you're going to have it. It happens as we age, so taking omega-3s is going to help with that. We could also look at some skin, hair, nail, and skin. You could look at metabolic functions. Those are all going to be improved with omega-3 fatty acids. But the big blocks when we talk of this is decreasing the inflammation in general, right, in the body, and then decreasing that inflammation that were caused by training, and then helping control and have a healthy lipid profile panel. So that's my big takeaway with our omega-3s. 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams is generally what I recommend as a starting supplementing amount. 2,000 if you're not having a bunch of soreness, a bunch of inflammation in the joint, something like that. 4,000 if you are. If you're training super hard for something, half marathon, Ironman, I do like the higher dosage also because once again, it just helps decrease that inflammation that is coming from training. Okay. There can be some outliers, if you have an injury, something like that, we can increase it short term, but the 2,000 to 4,000 is a great spot to be. And the great thing about that, that's 2 capsules of our full mega product that First Form makes.
Proud of you.
Boom. Inside joke, if you're new to the show, I generally call it full omega because I'm just so used to teaching omega-3s. And we'll make sure to link, in the show notes those products. So if you guys want to check them out, and like I said, these 3 I would put up against any category out there on the market when it comes to supplements as far as value and quality when it comes to our magnesium, our omega-3, and our creatine from First Form.
I just pulled it up. I was searching. I pulled up my blood work. So I've been taking full mega for I don't know how many years now. Multiple servings a day sometimes. But pulling up triglycerides was at 28, which is
Love it. Yeah.
and then the lady had told me, this is the best HDL and LDL like numbers I've ever seen. So my HDL was 86 and LDL was 14.
Jeez.
And and she was like, surprised, and I was like, full mega, first form.
Yeah. And you eat how much meat a day on average?
How much what?
Meat?
A lot.
And I say that just because, like, once again, meat, has just been labeled as, like, quote, bad, going to increase your cholesterol levels and all that. So, um, those are three I just feel like, once again, I feel ethically comfortable recommending to those out the gate. And that's the reason I feel, comfortable saying that, on a podcast, don't know who's going to be listening to this. And once again, podcast is for educational purposes only. But those are ones I would recommend, to my clients when I first speak to them without, necessarily knowing a lot of information about them. And then as we get more information about them, what does their diet look like? What does their training look like? They share their medical history and stuff like that. We can fine tune it with some supplements after that. Okay. And one of those, Monte, this, as I'm really going to get into this year, let's talk about 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. So for you and I, 1.0 is when we first start working with someone. Can we get them eating real food? Can we get them eating P squared? Can we get them lifting some weights, doing some resistance training, walking every day? That is 1.0. 2.0 is we start fine tuning supplementation. We start asking them to go get blood work done, from their physicians, and then start filling the gaps, and from our end, one of those gaps we can get from blood work is vitamin D, right? For example, you'll get your blood work done, your testosterone levels, nothing I can do as a dietitian. I can't treat that. I can make a recommendation of a conversation that you have with your physician or go to a, hormone clinic, but I can't personally do anything about that. But if you get that blood work back and your vitamin D is 20, I can do something about that. I can recommend, hey, Monte, I need you to take 50,000 IUs of vitamin D a day for 2 weeks. And then I need you to take 10,000 IUs a day until you get your blood work done again. Because I know that number, that recommendation protocol right there will increase that vitamin D from 20 up into an optimal range and be able to maintain it for most people. Okay. So vitamin D would be a close second, to these three that we just recommended, but I stopped recommending it to everybody because I would rather see the blood work before I make a generic recommendation to people. So that's just an example of how vitamin D is a close second to those three that we just talked about. And I know you have a couple that you like to say is a close second also.
Yeah. One of those being a multivitamin.
Yeah, we touched a little bit on that earlier.
Yeah.
What's your spiel to that? If you're talking to a new person, kind of, how would you describe it? What would you say about it? And what are the two options from us at First Form that you have?
So typically it's, most people aren't eating enough fruits and veggies. Ideally, you want to eat 5 to 7 servings. And then with that, training hard is going to increase the demand for more micronutrients. But they just play a huge role in your energy, hormones, metabolism. I mean, especially this time of year, the immune support. There's a lot of different benefits to it, recovery. And typically, I start out recommending our microfactor pack, which is going to be the daily nutrient pack that is going to have, CoQ10, fruits and veggies, antioxidants, probiotics. There's many different things in there. And some people, that's just kind of overwhelming in the beginning. And I like to break it down as like, and I've used this analogy before. Say you're walking in the rain and you have a normal, like 1 a day multivitamin. That's going to be you have a raincoat on. The microfactor would be like you have a raincoat and an umbrella, right? So there's more protection. It's like an insurance policy on your health. But then if somebody's not ready to start there, we do have the standalone. It's going to be more like your 1 a day multivitamin, which is going to be the M factor. So there is a men's version and a women's version. The big differences in it, the women's version is female specific. So there's extra biotin in there for the hair, skin, and nails. I know there's some guys that want the pretty hair, skin, and nails too, but this is for the ladies. And then hormone support in there for females. And then the male is going to have testosterone and prostate support in it. One of my favorite things about it is this was actually the first product from First Form I ever had. But it is a capsulated product. I know there's a lot of people that use, hard pressed tablets. Nothing wrong with it if that's something that somebody has right now. But looking for a capsulated multivitamin is just going to better break down in the body and absorb those nutrients from it. So the big reasons I recommend it is because most people aren't eating 5 to 7 servings of fruits and veggies. A lot of people experience a lot of hunger and cravings, low energy. And this is just our body, craving things that it is missing out on that it needs, aka micronutrients, which are essential vitamins and minerals. So that's why I recommend it in the beginning, because most people just fall short of getting those recommended 5 to 7 servings of fruits and veggies.
And like I said, I would toss it in most recommendation if people are asking for it, but taking that budget friendly, approach, into the conversation with those big three, right? But definitely like someone did, microfactor and the three products we were talking about, I am very happy, right? And then I generally recommend microfactor to anyone that's on lipid lowering drugs, or anybody that's really 50s and 60s. And the reason being there is it also includes CoQ10. And CoQ10 is a rate limiting enzyme inside the body that, as we age, unfortunately, we don't produce as much. Or if we're taking a lipid lowering drug, it decreases it. So that's one I like to add in that's, once again, more specific, but just giving the listener, some examples of that. And the last one I'll say, and you and I I don't want to say we argue over it, we just have different approaches, right? And that's protein, because with a powder protein, like, I could argue that should be not a supplement, it should just be a food. Because if you remember earlier in my soapbox, I said primary protein sources are meat, fish, eggs, some dairy, and protein shakes. So I personally do not think of protein as a supplement, right? But definitely it could be, talked about as a supplement. And we make two primary, flag proteins. Our level one, which is a sustained assimilating protein, which means it just mimics the digestion of real protein or real food. So it's a slower digestion because it has a mixture of whey isolate and whey concentrate in it, versus our 100% whey isolate Formula One, which we do have in clear version or regular version, which digests fast and is meant for the post-workout setting. I personally have people and push that we get Formula One out of the gate, because I want to put that into, the program to optimize their results, and then really work on the diet to get the other ones in. I know sometimes you like to do out of the gate level one, because the reality is most people are struggling with their protein when they start.
Right. And the Formula One can help them hit that protein. But a lot of people do struggle with hitting the protein and also hunger. And like you mentioned, like Formula One, like the post workout, hands down, is the best. Like that's the one time that a supplement is going to trump whole food, because we want that fast digestion. So it makes sense why you do Formula One. Level one is just that, meal replacement type protein is going to sit longer in your stomach. So if you're having hunger and cravings that is making you maybe go binge or making you go off the plan, overeating calories, that's why I like it there. And the other reason was just because like people don't train every day, and we talk about habits. So people sometimes will get the Formula One and they don't use it every day because they didn't work out. And I'm like, you can use it if you don't work out. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be about hitting that total protein. But level one, just having the habit of, if they don't work out, they're still going to use it. So that's why always went with that first.
Yeah, and there's no right or wrong, right? We end up getting the person at the same spot, usually down the road. It's just that initial conversation, right? So I think a take-home message is three supplements that should be in your plan is omega-3 fatty acids at 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams a day, magnesium around 400 milligrams at night, along with creatine, 5 to 10 grams a day, depending on your body size, and then maybe increasing that to 10, 15, 20 grams a day, once again, based on body size, tolerance, and how you feel on it. And then, once again, if budget's not an issue, I would say go ahead and start out with microfactor and a tub of level one and Formula One. That would be a great quote starter packet for, I think, people to get started on their wellness journey, to not only produce results when it comes to fat loss, but also to optimize their health.
We need to get in touch with somebody and get that as a stack on the website where people can just get the Team Alpha stack.
Hey, Sal, if you're listening to this, give us a Team Alpha stack. Magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, creatine, microfactor, and a tub each in there. And then, but you and I would argue over, hey, can we slot in some megawatt? That would be my favorite, right?
Yeah.
That's my analogy. My buddy has a good for this. We'll wrap up with this. My buddy has a great analogy. We talk about it all the time. He's like, you don't need shoes to run a marathon. Just like I don't need a truck to drive to work, but it makes it a lot, more convenient or easier. So that's the way I kind of look at megawatt. Is like, I don't need it. And actually, here's the funny thing: I don't do it before workouts. I do megawatt first thing in the morning to get my day started.
That's a habit you developed with being 60 years old and having a newborn.
Correct. Like, listen, I had those things stashed everywhere. Man, I had those in our old house. There was some megawatt on the diaper changing, table. There was one in our bathroom. There was one downstairs. I had them everywhere. Here,
it was either you or Katie posted something on Instagram, and you were sitting there like holding her, and it was like the bookshelf or something behind you. There's a thing of like open megawatts sitting there. And I'm pretty sure you were asleep. I'm pretty sure you were passed out.
That's the tactical nap, man. I in those days, I call it the tactical nap. You do megawatt, and then you go back to sleep for 20 or 30 minutes. So when the alarm hits the second time, it's had time to hit those receptors, and then you're like, all right, let's
Yeah.
go. So, hey, seriously, listeners, if you have any questions, let me and Montae know. We'll be more than happy, to answer it. Once again, we love First Form as a company. It pays, for, the heartstrings here. It puts food on our table. It pays our bills. But I love our mission, which is helping people, right? And we will get the right product in. You like energy drinks? We don't have to sell that to you. They taste good. You like energy drinks? Cool. You're going to get that regardless. Our goal here is to educate, to make sure you're getting the right supplementation within your right budget that works for you. So appreciate you guys listening. Please share the episode with a friend, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.